ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mike Palazzolo. I'm the director of the UC Braid Center for Accelerated Innovation. Maybe before I introduce today's speaker, I'll give a little pitch about one of the things that we do. So the Center for Accelerated Innovation spans all 5 UC campuses, and one of our big new initiatives is we actually sponsor an event where faculty on any of the campuses have an opportunity to pitch and get coaching on pitching in front of a VC audience. And our next event is going to be in April. We haven't scheduled it yet, but I'm assuming that most of the people in this room are interested in academic translation. And so I would say pay attention to that. If you're interested, we really want to try to encourage everybody who has something that they think is interesting to really apply. And our goal is to work with you to try to see if there's a way to advance the things that you're interested in doing. All right, so with that in mind, the CTSI and the CAI are sponsoring today's presenters, Julianne, Roseman, and Joe Barone from the Harrington Discovery Institute. And today they're going to talk about what it is that the Institute does in terms of accelerating translation of academic drug discovery and development.
Thank you so much. We're so excited to be here. We're coming from Cleveland, Ohio, which is where Harrington is headquartered. We're a philanthropic initiative, part of a hospital system called University Hospitals. And really our focus is entirely on accelerating drug discovery from, sort of preclinical and a little bit earlier into the clinic.
And this was the one sunny day we had in Cleveland last year, so we took a picture. So Harrington supports novel therapeutics and repurposed therapeutics, but only therapeutics. We don't work in devices or diagnostics. We are indication agnostic, we are modality agnostic. We look to address areas of high unmet medical need. And we look, as Julianne just stated, we look to support projects that are beyond the initial basic science phase, really have some sort of proof of concept. And so our primary mechanism of support is through grant funding, and we have a number of programs that provide funding that is provided directly for research and development activities. Along with that money, we have a large number of experts that we have on call, and these folks come primarily from industry, where they previously worked at large pharmaceutical companies or other companies, and they have a wide range of expertise in a lot of different areas. What we do is we really build teams of these folks around individual PIs to help accelerate their work. And this is really where I feel like a lot of the value that Harrington can bring. We also have a network of CROs and other service providers that we can bring to the table to help, and then as well as business strategy and commercialization support from other consultants as well. We also support company formation and investment for technologies that have advanced to the stage where they might be licensed into a new co. And we have a small fund that we'll talk about that can provide some co-investments. So all of our programs start with an initial award. And so there are annual RFPs that go out. And we're here talking to you now because a number of our RFPs will be coming out in this first quarter of this year. And all of these awards are for multi-year, 2 to 3 years, depending on the program. And after that initial award is received, there's other monies that are available, milestone-based grants that are available as the project proceeds along its path, and our advisors determine the needs of the project. There's the ability to go back to the well for additional funding. I'd mentioned that we support startups as well. We have our Harrington Startup Fund. So these are co-investments in the early stage companies derived from the technology we supported under the grant programs. And this is $1.2 million that's available tranched as an investment.
I know you're all excited to hear about what specific grant programs we have. So for 2019, these are our 3. Our flagship program is the Scholar Innovator Award. It is limited to MD researchers, but it's any disease area, any modality, and it's our largest program every year. And then we have 2 partnered programs which focus in specific therapeutic areas, one in Alzheimer's and the other in retinal degeneration diseases. And those are open to PhD or MD researchers and those are also multi-year awards with various funding amounts. All of our, the 2 of our RFPs open in March, which means they'll close in May, so you still have some time, and you know, if we actually go to the next slide. We tend to do a letter of intent process for our programs, which is 2 pages. It's really brief and quick and hopefully painless. And then our full applications are a little different than, you know, NIH grants, but we have word limits. We try to keep it short, and we know you guys are busy. We don't want you spending all your time applying for grants. And then we do a very heavy multi-round review with both technical and commercial assessment of the project. And then we have, for our Scholar Innovator Program, a scientific advisory board of National Academy winners who make the final recommendation. And then for our partnered programs, it's a co-selection with the nonprofit and our nonprofit. So to date, we've been around for just over 6 years. We've seen over 2,000 applications. We work across the country, and we funded 109 projects starting in 2019. And at any one time, we might have about 30 to 40 projects active. So right now it's 36. It's always sort of in flux. And if you don't believe us, this is our map of where we've funded. So we have not done a program at UCLA yet. We're really looking to change that because LeBron's here and we miss him, and it's sunnier here. We want to have more reasons to come out. But we have worked with lots of institutions. We have no trouble working across, you know, different cultures at different universities and doing cross collaborations. And we think we want to, you know, support the best science wherever that may be.
We have worked with the UC system before.
And this is just a look at the different types of therapeutic areas we've worked in. You know, the big players, obviously, we've done more work in, like cancer, but we're open to all therapeutic areas. And of our projects, 34 have been in rare diseases. We're also very keen on focusing on supporting rare disease projects, so please apply if you have those as well.
So as far as the stage that we support, we really are anywhere between discovery and clinical trials. We want to be beyond the discovery phase, but before the clinical phase. But we really feel that a lead optimization sort of milestone in the drug development process is really where we feel that we can provide the most potential for impact and the most benefit. And that's a function of really the expertise that we have on hand and where we feel that there's a lot of unmet need in academia. We really try to bring a sort of an industry sensibility to the academic laboratory, and that's really through this Innovation Support Center, which is this group of advisors that I previously mentioned. And you know, I'm sure you all recognize the logos of the companies on the side there, and that's where a lot of these folks have come from in industry. And they really have a very wide variety of expertise that they can bring to the table in working with the PIs here at the institution.
So some of that specific support on the technical side, it might look like medicinal chemistry or toxicology work. And then on the business development side, it might be a market assessment, IP strategy, and helping you plan the next steps for commercialization. And all of our expertise is provided in kind in addition to the grant funding, and we take no rights whatsoever. So the IP, if any IP is generated, it goes back to you. And any technical or commercial development is done in conjunction with the tech transfer office and what you guys want, what the researcher in the institution wants to get out of the project.
Yeah, we have many past examples of our Innovation Support Center members contributing heavily to the development of IP to the point where they've been named inventors on patents, but the benefit to you all is that then that patent gets assigned back to UCLA, and you can proceed with your commercialization efforts. So regardless of the program, the scholar terms, they pretty much all look like this over the course of the 2 years, the 8 quarters. So after an initial kickoff period where we make the assignments of our project managers and these advisors, really identify the project priorities and set a game plan for moving forward. The following quarters then have active project management where at the very least there'll be monthly meetings and calls. Our advisors are located all over the country, and so they can easily travel, but they can easily get on the phone as well. And so we make sure that that specialized consulting is available, like I said, at least on a monthly basis. But often these projects, that end up, really cooking, really going well. They could be, weekly calls. And then during that term, there's the opportunities for the follow-on funding. So the advisors will, with the PI, really determine where the needs are for additional funding, where depending on the project trajectory, and then you'll be able to make pitches back to Harrington for that additional funding. Throughout the entirety of the term, of the scholar term, we have business development support. We also have Innovation Support Center advisors that have business development backgrounds, as Julianne stated, and they're available throughout the term to really help identify funding sources, to really assist the Technology Transfer Office with partnering activities if the time is right for that, and to prepare for the exit. And then those business development services, those extend on beyond the life of the scholar term. So while the technical support ends at the end of the term, we're still available in the business development end to really make sure that project can get to the next step, whatever that might be. If it's a license or a new co or a research collaboration with pharma, whatever it may be, we like to be there to make sure that we can facilitate that handoff.
We really like to work with engaged researchers who want, we're not just a funding source, we're this other element with project management and expert advice. And so this is an example of one of our researchers who was really great to work with. His name is Dr. Hua out of the University of Pennsylvania. And he came in with a tool compound, and we were able to identify a path forward to create new novel matter and get additional funding to run that campaign at a CRO, and did some additional work. And by the end of his grant, there was new IP that had been created and assigned at the University of Pennsylvania. And then within a year, that was led to a large pharmaceutical collaboration, which is currently ongoing. And so we know that we really made a difference in Dr. Ra's work. There's real potential that this project could lead to a clinical trial, and we're very excited to watch his progress going forward. So out of the 109 projects we've supported to date, we've seen 5 things move into the clinic and 5 other programs licensed in large pharma deals, and then 20 companies formed and funded privately.
And an example of that is Dr. Markowitz's work here out of Case Western Reserve, and he's got he said some kind words about us in his testimonial. But he founded Rodeo Therapeutics a few years back, and then they were able to secure a partnership with Accelerator Core out of Seattle. So another example of the translation getting into a company and then being able to make that next step, securing the additional funding to move forward. So I'll leave with that. We like to think that we provide, as Julianne said, more than just funding, and really, create an environment that can really foster, accelerated advancement of these projects. I'd like to play just a short video. Let's see if this works with some of our past scholars.
Year that I was encouraged to apply and finally did it, and then learned that I had been chosen. It was just the feeling of knowing that I had a chance to participate in this process and to actually really accelerate the development of a technology that we had developed in our lab. It was just exciting for me to know that we would have the support and the team that we would have surrounding us. It was just real, in a word, joy.
When I applied for this grant, I had no idea what it was about. I was looking for money. I was looking for funding like everybody else was looking for. And actually, even the meeting this morning that I had with the team that Harrington's put together, actually the money is going to be the least important part of what this foundation is going to provide. So I know what I want to do. I know I want to take my laboratory work and put it in humans. What I didn't realize is all the little steps which become huge steps in between.
I think the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes were spent like kind of contain excitement about the timing. The timing was perfect for us.
Most drugs fail somewhere along the way, but having the support of people who really have the expertise, the knowledge, and the experience in doing that will maximize our chance of actually being able to bridge that gap.
Every day as a physician, I care for patients, prescribe drugs. But I have no expertise in the middle, how do I move something from the lab to the bedside? That's not something that we're trained to do in medical school.
In my few hours this morning, I've learned more about drug discovery and how such discoveries can be translated into people than in my 30 years in academic medicine.
But this is like the epiphany of a researcher's dream. You want to make a drug that's really going to help people. And so I have a shot at doing that.
The Harrington Discovery Institute plays a huge role in our efforts to move this translational project forward.
If we didn't have the support of the Harrington Discovery Institute, I think we'd be much less savvy about how to develop the ideas that we have, the academic ideas, into something that could become a drug that we can use to treat patients.
So with that, I'll
Something that's less savvy drug that we can use to treat patients.
with that, I'll open to questions.
What's sort of the history of the Institute?
We were founded about 6 years ago from a grateful patient who had been a longer time patient at the hospital and had funded some cardiology institutes, but wanted to do more. He had made his wealth in a medical device company, and that's how he met our president, Dr. Jonathan Samler, and sort of learned more about the gap, the valley of death in drug development, that there's all these ideas, but they're not making it into the clinics, they're not making it into the market. And so he really wanted to fund that sort of innovative, entrepreneurial work and really try to move more things into patients. And then we've just continued from there. And we're still supported by the hospital system, so we're not an independent nonprofit. We're not a foundation, we're a nonprofit, and we just continue to pursue this mission.
So you mentioned that in your main program that you fund MDs and MD PhDs, and I know not everyone here probably is an MD. So what are collaboration options are there? Like how someone's interested in applying, I mean, should they just find an MD collaborator, or how would that work?
Yeah, I mean, we understand that these aren't individuals often. There are teams behind any PI, and so we have supported collaborations between MDs and PhDs. And those have worked out great because everybody's able to bring their expertise to the table. The lead applicant will need to be an MD for that program, though, but we understand how these things work, and so we will support that.
So your grant successful rate is about 5%. So it looks like
10%.
However, I'm really interested to see that you have a network of CROs to help to push the lead optimization. I just wonder if people in that 95% pool, which is not funded by you, can still also use your CRO network.
Our CRO networks aren't like proprietary in any way. We just have done it in large part to speed up the contracting process. So instead of sending the money to UCLA and UCLA sending the money out, we just send it right to the CRO. We don't have any overly special relationships with.
What I'm trying to say is that at UCLA, one of the things I complain a lot and nobody care about me is that we don't have a CRO network to support right now. Without CRO lead optimization, almost impossible.
Right.
So I wonder if you have a CRO network kind of published or something like that, other people can use the CRO network.
Right. We don't currently sort of discuss who we work with.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the advisory component is part of the grant. That said, you know, we work with lots of national CROs
and
international CROs. So there's, as Julianne said, there's really no secret about who we work with. It really just depends on what you need to do and what you need to. Right.
And I actually would say a lot of our scholars do get in the second time. We do really encourage reapplicants. We don't look down on that. It's hard to decide between, you know, why did you not make it? And when we have 10 slots and you're number 11, like it's not necessarily, you've made it into the finalist pool, there's not really a reason why you weren't picked. The way we look at it is if you're in the finalist, any of the finalists we'd be happy to work with. So we just have a limited amount of funding that we can spend each year. So please do reapply if you've applied in the past.
We have multiple examples of folks that have reapplied and then gotten the award.
You get comments back, you get feedback from your application.
We're working on doing more. So this year we've been able to roll out for the finalists, and then we're working to roll out more feedback. We're a small team at this time.
Okay. And how about the criteria? I mean, I haven't looked at the website, but is it clear what is the main priorities, or what are the priorities of the institution, right? I mean, I saw your slide and you basically you have funding for different projects, but so what is stage? I mean, if you guys have a priority for people that already have a compound and it's very near to go to the market, or I don't know, or it's just something like it's in between, and some diseases you are more interested than others, because I mean the success rate is low, right? And I can assume that the competition is going to be very high. So you think like you really don't have a chance, or maybe your project is not of interest. So I just was wondering if there is that information in the website, and just to have an idea.
It is, yeah. And I mean,
Yeah, sure. I mean, so for our partner programs that have specific disease focuses, those are the diseases we want to see there. For a flagship program, we are disease agnostic, and we do not have a preference in terms of which diseases. We're really just looking for the best science and the best potential for downstream commercialization.
Potential, right? So with the question that is important, though. So, for example, looking at commercial opportunity, so that could be another thing, right? I mean, that's a criteria.
And that is a criteria, and we have commercial assessments that are conducted on the applications, right? That is something that we do look at heavily, because we're really intending to be translational. We don't want to just fund research for the sake of research. We really want to make sure we can do the most we can to try to get it into patients, however that is. And then aside from that, go ahead.
I was going to say, we want to make sure that there's someone there for you after our program ends, so that if there's no interest in the market or if it's a third generation drug, that's not very innovative to us. So we're really looking for something that's filling a huge need, a market need. It could be a rare, it could be a huge need in rare disease, but it doesn't have to be a huge market. It needs to be clear.
Quality science, unmet need, potential for commercialization.
And innovation.
But drilling down on the preferred stage, so you're agnostic, you'll be just as happy to find early stage post-discovery, say target validation, when there's no compounds yet, or maybe just few early hits, versus something that's like much more downstream. I mean, you're not looking to have an exit within a certain amount of years.
No, and we fund it along that continuum. I say we don't. I think we prefer not to fund projects that are maybe about to go into the screening phase, because then maybe there's some waiting, and we don't want to waste the short period of time that we have. The 2-year term we acknowledge is arbitrary, and we'll see in the future if we can make that more variable. But we want to make sure we can make the most out of the time. So perhaps that the screening phase might not be the best, but we have funded all along that continuum from target ID all the way through to large animal studies, the IND enabling studies.
And we really are disease agnostic. So if you look at our class of innovators, we just announced our 2019s. I mean, it's like all over the board. We have a malaria project, we have a cancer project, we have a rare disease. So it's purely, really is open. We're not.
Do you offer to have a quick triage look, or would you say, I mean, like, can someone send you something very quickly, or you don't really do that because you don't want to give false?
I think the only feedback we really can provide is whether or not you were qualified to apply the project. I don't know that we don't really have the bandwidth to provide you with a technical read at this time. I wish we could, but I think at this time we really could only provide whether or not you were qualified.
In that case, maybe, I mean, I can say, so I'm from the technology development group here at UCLA, and we can help with these things. So you hopefully know who your business development officer is, and obviously folks at Braid, et cetera. I mean, they have a lot of, and the CAI has a lot of experience. So, we can internally help you triage your project if you have questions, maybe that could be. Although we probably would encourage you to apply.
Yeah, and even helping determine, answering some of the questions in that grant application to your office.
Yeah, but please direct questions to us, and we'll get you answers quicker. We're on the business development team, so we have our focus, but we'll get you in contact with the right people to answer the questions.
So you say that it's an NIH-like proposal. Could you elaborate that a little
bit?
Oh,
I said it's not like an NIH proposal, actually. It's a little more.
Elaborate on the application.
So the sections there's a number of short answer questions, like 250 words, like real quick, and we limit the data, I believe, to 3 pages. And then, I mean, NIH BioSketch publications, things like that. That's a recommendation. We try to not have it be painful. I mean, we're also love to hear your feedback on how the process is. Because
the questions are a little bit different. We do have questions about commercial impact and and market, the disease and stuff, so there are some different questions, but we try not to make it technical.
Do you ask for product profiles, that type of information?
Target product profile? No, not this. I don't believe that's part of the application. I mean, we want to help you develop that.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, you might have one already. Our advisors come in and it changes. And that could be a good thing.
And when is your next therapy?
So they open in March, and they should close in May, but we don't have the exact date set just yet.
But we'll make sure everybody gets our email propaganda.
Yeah, we had a sign-in sheet if you didn't see it.
So for rare disease, for instance, there might be like 20 people in the world that might be addressed by that drug that's too small.
It is kind of small at this time, so we have been approached about projects like that, and we're just concerned about our ability to really help move it along. We'd like to see something a little less rare than like 20 people in the world.
So not ultra.
Yeah, ultra rare is still, maybe not quite ready to take that on.
I don't want to give a hard answer on that. We got to take a look at it.
And if it has applicability to other rare diseases or other diseases, I think we're looking at the commercial potential beyond just the first initial indication.
Yeah, and a lot of the rare disease programs that we've funded in the past have had that platform or multi-disease applicability.
How do you work with indirect costs?
Yeah, that's the question. Unfortunately, we don't support indirects. We want the money, because it's, quite frankly, not that large of amount of money. We really want to make sure that money is directed towards the development activities. So there are some stipulations on the award. Not too many, but one of them is no overhead, unfortunately. But I will say that we've never had an issue contracting with any academic university or hospital in the past. Nobody has said no. So we make it work somehow.
I thought the award was $700K.
That's up to. So
up to.
Yeah. So for each of the programs, there's an initial award between $100,000 and $200,000, and that you get pretty much no matter what. Mm-hmm. And then over the course of the project, the advisors and you would work together, and then up to $700,000 is potentially available depending upon the needs of the project and where you're going and what you need.
So then your proposal should be fit with $200,000.
With the
whatever you propose is okay. I'm gonna need $200,000.
Yeah,
and the budget, and quite frankly, the budget's not super important part of the proposal.
Yeah, you have to. There's the budget.
You got to put it in, but we understand that things are going to change. So.
And by the time we select, because our process does take 9 months, we do expect to have updates both on your project and the plan and.
If the intellectual property has an interested licensee, how does your organization work with potential matching funds if the proposal is selected?
That's a great question. So the intellectual property, if it doesn't exist, that's okay. If it does exist, it needs to still be at the university and sort of what we say, free and clear of any for-profit conflict. So we're a nonprofit. We want to support another nonprofit and the work being done on the academic side. But we do. I mean, it's really exciting to see those relationships, and we want that to happen by the end of the program. So we are. I mean, it's a good sign. It just sort of depends. If the project is licensed at any time during the grant, our grant ends the day your license is executed. So, and we've had that. It's usually a happy moment for everyone involved.
Pop a bottle of champagne.
Right. But we stop because then the project has been taken by a for-profit.
What about the other, so the kind of softer versions of? So you said this will be unencumbered completely, so no letter of intent and no options at the moment of applying. But sometimes someone can be interested and not really contribute, right? They're just exploring.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. If the technology is being shopped, that's okay. Fine. That's probably a good sign. It's gotten to that stage. As far as to answer the other part of your question regarding matching dollars, if it's that's where our startup fund comes in, where we can co-invest. If it's in a technology we've previously supported that's going into a startup company, we can do a co-equity investment.
And we do
seed stage.
Yeah, and for the grants, we do look for, and we ask about other support that the project may have. So if there's matching dollars, even matching grant dollars, we're excited to see that. Yeah, happy to work with other funders.
Yeah, I mean, we we'd like to see, we expect to see, you know, that the project's being supported some other way as well. Because like I said, you know, the real value that we bring is through the expertise, the advisory capacity. The dollar figure, you know, it's icing.
Do you only co-invest in companies that you previously given grants to?
Yeah. Yeah, and that really goes sort of with our philanthropic mission. We're not looking just to make equity investments in companies for the sake of making investments. We really want to make sure we continue to support, you know, the projects we've already supported, and then the returns from that just go back into the grant mechanism, just more dollars back in there. We're not looking to make money.
And if anyone on the webcast has questions, we can see the chat. Don't hesitate.
Thanks so much, everyone. Appreciate everyone being here.
Thank you.
We'll be able to put the material